Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS listening lesson. My name is Adrian, and I am broadcasting to you from beautiful Budapest, capital city of Hungary. All right, today we're doing some practice to get our band scores up, hopefully reaching a band 9. Materials, they come from our websites. This audio material and this listening exam that you will see comes from our general IELTS help website. So check us out there at IELTShelp.com. And if you are learning for academic IELTS, please check us out at AEhelp.com. That's academic English help.com. Hi, Kyber. Hi, Amarjeet. Hi, MD. Yes, Jassi Mudin. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. All right, students. So just a quick peek at the schedule. Today, listening. Tomorrow, we will be doing some speaking part 1 and 2 practice. Then a few days break until Wednesday. Wednesday, I will be back with a live lesson for IELTS Task 1. We will be releasing a new practice or example IELTS speaking interview with a French candidate on Sunday. So make sure to check the channel for that. All right, if you have questions or comments, concerns about IELTS or our products, please contact me, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at GIELTSHELP.com. That's my name, A-D-R-I-A-N, at GIELTShelp.com. Good to see so many students joining in. All right, students, so let's get warmed up with some listening. Let's get right into it. I'm going to play the audio. Here's the listening for those of you who have our books. This is from book number 1. It's test number 3. Audio on the website is the CD3 track 1. This is section 1. For those of you that don't have our books, you can get it by joining us on our websites, or you can actually get our books from Amazon as well. Search for GE IELTS Help or AE IELTS Help and you'll find it. Okay, students, I'm going to play the audio using my Bose speaker here. It's quite a nice little speaker. I have it on max volume, and I'm using my headset microphone. So, of course, it's not as amazing as a direct feed from the internet. So if it's quiet for you, please turn up your volume. Please try to use a headset to hear better as well, okay? And one other request, please do not write your answers. Please, please, please do not write your answers into the chat. Give everybody a chance to answer. So write your answers on a piece of paper. We will go over the answers after each section and discuss them, okay? So just get ready to listen. Write down your answers on paper, not in the chat, and then we will go over them after. Again, the audio is coming from our website. This is our general IELTS website. You can join it by clicking that big red button. Once you do, you can access your My Student account. Clicking at the top, you'll have a login, of course, with your name, password. First time, you get a tour of the website. And this is our audio CDs tab here. So let me open that up. It's test number 3. So it's CD 3 and it's section 1. So it's track 1, of course. All right, everybody, ready for some listening. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Listening Section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 women as one of the women registers her daughter for nursery school. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
The woman says she would like to register her daughter for half-day nursery school, so A has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
So your daughter's name is Matilda Johnson?
Yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda, Matilda, and the last name is Johnson, but it's not the common spelling. It's spelt Jonson. My husband is Swedish, which explains the different spelling.
Right. And what is Matilda's date of birth?
She was born December 25th, 2006.
So she was born at Christmas. That is incredible.
Yes, she was an incredible present to get for Christmas. It certainly was the most memorable Christmas I've had.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay, so now I need Matilda's personal education number, which she should have received in the post recently.
I don't remember receiving such a letter in the post.
It would have come from the Department of Education, and they always post things in yellow envelopes. You don't remember seeing a yellow envelope in the post?
In fact, I do, but I didn't open it. My husband did. He didn't mention anything about a personal education number. Now he's away with work and I won't be able to reach him.
Well, we can retrieve the number. I'm going to need your national insurance number as well as your husband's. I'm going to need your husband's name as well.
My husband's name is Eric, with a K instead of a C on the end. His last name is Johnson, of course. His national insurance number is DF987745W, and mine is KL409115N.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Right. Okay, let me see here. All right. Here is a personal education number. I'll give it to you now so that you can write it down for future reference. It is T563-40192.
Just to make sure, the first character is T as in Thomas.
Yes, and this letter in front of the number shows what region the child is originally from. The T in this case refers to Tyne and Wear.
That would be correct, I'd imagine. Matilda was born in Newcastle, which of course is in Tyne and Wear.
Okay, so we have all the information about Matilda that we need. She is now registered for half-day nursery school in September. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I was wondering what sort of training your nursery school teachers have.
That is a very good question. Each of our teachers has, at a minimum, a 2-year diploma in early childhood education. Many of our senior staff have bachelor's degrees in education in addition to the 2-year diploma, and our departmental head, Miss Janet Roth, has a postgraduate certificate, bachelor's degree and diploma. Do not worry, Miss Johnson, your daughter Matilda is in very good hands.
That makes me feel a lot better. Can you tell me when the first day of school is? And also, will there be an orientation day for new students and parents?
The first day of class is the 5th of September, and yes, we do have an orientation day. It takes place on the 3rd of September from 9 to midday. Parents and children are strongly encouraged to attend.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and in that half minute, you should always be checking your answers, not going to the next section, because the information is fresh in your mind, so you still have time to remember maybe some key words that you might have missed, okay? So just a quick tip 1 here for you, and this is very good to practice before the IELTS, is always use the time to check your answers for checking answers and not for looking at the next section. Why? Because the information is still fresh in your mind and you can catch mistakes or missing words. Numbers, okay? That's why you should do that. All right, now, I used an interesting strategy at the beginning here. Hi, Rahul. Hi, Amarwadi. Good to see so many students in. I used an interesting strategy at the beginning of this task 1. You may have noticed that while the instructions were going, what did I do? Anybody? What did I do when the administrator in the audio was talking for about 90 seconds, describing the copyright, introduction to IELTS, the 4 sections? Abhishek Dangwal says, you scrolled to the 3rd and 4th sections. I did. There is no special rule that you cannot turn to section 3 and 4. The rule is follow the instructions, and it says now turn to section 1. But there's no rule that says don't turn to section 3 or section 4. So you can turn to section 1, and hey, you don't know how long section 1 is. Perhaps you get to section 3 and 4. What did I look for in section 3 and 4? What's the word here? Okay, so during the 90 seconds, Afsana Afrin says you were checking for the topic. That's right, Afsana, I was. Anybody catch what the topic of section 3 and section 4 actually was when you were watching this? That's right, so I was looking for the topic. Just by catching the topic of section 3 and 4 during that instruction time, it will really help you out, okay? Afsana says university building, that was for section 2. Afsana says taxes, yes, for section 3. And what was it for section 4? So here, yes, the example, section 3 was taxes, and section 4 was, anybody catch it? Not school. It was a little bit of a trickier one. It was Isaac Newton. Okay, so that's what those were. All right, if the examiner or the proctor says, hey, what are you doing? Don't turn to section 3 and 4. Just say, okay, sorry, I'll turn back to section 1. They won't kick you out for that from the exam because there's no rule that says don't turn to section 3 and 4. It just says turn to section 1, okay? So School was for section 2, Abdul Rahman. But I want you to especially focus on section 3 and 4 topics, just because those are the more difficult. Okay, cool. So remember that strategy. It's one that can really save you a couple of key marks, and that can be the difference between a 6 and a 6.5, or a 6.5 and a 7. Okay, just letting your brain think about that section 3, section 4 topic. Again, section 3 and 4 are much more difficult than section 1 and more difficult than 2. Okay, let's go back and answer these questions, students. So here we go. Anybody remember when I actually went back to section 1? What time in the audio did I return to review questions 1 to 5? Let's see how many of you are really paying attention to my timing strategy. Anybody catch that? Yeah, Pachu says, but the invigilators don't let you see all the sections before the recording starts. Pachu, you're kind of right. From about 10 students, usually 1 or 2 tell me that, the invigilator told me don't turn the page. But about 6, 7, 8 students have said to me that, yeah, I did that, and the invigilator didn't really care. They realized I just flipped, and then I quickly turned back. You can see the topic of section 3 and 4 right from the very first 1 or 2 questions. So you can do it very quickly, okay? All right. Yeah, that's right. During the example, Gabriel Biju says, you went back to section 1 during the example. That's right, okay? Now, you might have to be a little bit faster than I, so you might return quicker than that, but if you can, you should go back during the example. Okay, let's answer these questions together. So, number 1, what is the woman's husband's nationality? So, where is he from? The woman spells the husband's name. She says it's kind of spelled differently because he is, and then she says it very clearly, Swedish. That's right. Capital letter B, so use that in your answer sheet, B. Okay. How is the child's personal education normally received? Again, the receptionist very clearly says how it's received. Yeah, by post. That's right. A. Now, always make sure don't do kind of like really bad mistakes or really awkward mistakes. I've seen students do that where they're actually in space number 2. They'll write by post instead of actually writing the letter A. Even though that's a correct answer, theoretically, you'll get it wrong, okay? It has to be just the letter A. It's multiple choice. So you put the letter A and not by post. So just be careful about silly mistakes, okay? Again, during your 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet, you should check for that, okay? Look at the instructions real quick. So B and A. Okay, let's keep going. Another multiple choice. Why is the husband out of town? So the woman says, oh no, I think my husband got that envelope, but he is out of town with work. That's right. She mentions that he is gone for work. So B is the correct answer there. Okay, good. So B, A, B so far. Very good. All right, here we go. Question 4. So here you had to choose the correct letters, and you have to choose all of them. Okay, this was a little bit more difficult. What does the administrator need from the woman to find the child's education number? Okay. Says, I need your husband's national insurance number as well as yours. Okay. So it doesn't say woman's, but says as well as yours. As well as yours means that she needs both of their national insurance number and your husband's name. Okay. She already took the woman's name earlier, So she's missing the husband's name. So the correct answers here are C, D, and F. So in space 4 on your answer sheet, in any order, you can write C, F, D. Okay, the order doesn't matter, but you need all three. I recommend separating them with a comma, so C, F, D, like that. Okay, C, D, F, it's fine. Order doesn't matter. All three letters go into one space because it's one question. All right, so I need your husband's national insurance number as well as yours and your husband's name. That's what the woman says. Question number 5. How is the husband's name spelt? So she says it's Eric with a... So is it CK, is it C, or is it simply just K? How is the husband's name spelled? Roja Rice says it's 5. Yeah, so it's C. Why? Because the woman says it's spelled Eric with a K, of course. Why? Because he's Swedish. So Eric with a K. Okay? Swedish don't use the letter C like the British. So, and you get that when the woman says, oh, it's Eric with a K, of course. All right? So the correct answer there is C, Eric with a K. All right, let's keep going. Number 6. Which one of these is Matilda's personal education number? Is it A, is it B, or is it C for number 6? Okay, I think Abhishek and Shanzeh Khan are on number 6 here. They're saying it's going to be A. Yeah, absolutely. A is the correct one. In part 1, they usually give you a couple of chances to get the right answer. And here that's the case. The woman actually says, oh, just that first character, was that a T or a P? She says something like that. And then the administrator says, well, it's a T. And she says the first character is the letter which represents where the child is from, Tainamir. So it has to be a T. So it's A. So they give you quite a bit of information to know that the correct answer is A. Okay, and then the woman says, yes, Tainamir is right because the child is born where? Where is the child born? Newcastle, London, or Monterey? A, B, or C? This is for number 7. Okay, I believe that the answers coming up now are for number 7. A, that was very clearly proclaimed by the mother. She says, yes, that makes sense since she's from Newcastle, or she was born in Newcastle, right? Okay, so A and A. All right, so far, so good. 3 more to go. Okay, here you had to be a little bit careful. Again, number 8, you had to choose 2. Always pay attention to that. That's why that's in capital letters. If you only choose 1, you'll get it wrong. So again, you have a space like this. You have the number 8, and you need to give 2 answers. What 2 qualifications do many of the nursery school senior staff have? Pay attention to these kinds of qualifying words. So what kinds or what 2 qualifications do many of the nursery school's senior staff have? Yep, 2-year diploma is the minimum. They mentioned that. They said all of our staff have the 2-year diploma, and many of our senior staff also have a bachelor's degree. That's right. So the answer is B and E, okay? The school head, I believe they said, has a master's degree as well. So here again, order doesn't matter. You just need to have E and B or B and E to get that correct, okay? 1 point. So you need both for 1 point. Okay, let's keep going. Number 9 and 10 here. Complete the notes below. Write no more than 2 words and or a number for each. So this is a short answer. Fill in the blanks. This is a date. You have to get it right. What is the answer for number 9? First day of class. When does it start? Okay, Afsana says 5th of September. Shanze says sept. Shanze, be careful. Usually we include the T with the abbreviation of September, but I think they'll give it to you for sep. I'll have to check that, but I think sep is okay. It's the easiest, so 5th of September. You can even go more easy, and you can go like this. September 5, like this. If you're using an abbreviation, do use a period, okay? I think they might take sep like that, but I'll have to check if that is appropriate abbreviation. I know that sep is with septa usually. I'll have to Google that one, okay? Know your abbreviations, all right? Make sure you get them correctly. You don't have to use the superscript TH. You can just go with 5 like that. If you do a RD, by the way, you'll get it wrong, okay? Or if you do an ST, like first, you'll get it wrong, okay? So be very, very careful. All right? Rahul, can you be more specific on what you don't think IELTS will accept so I can give you feedback there? All right, you should be familiar with the spelling of months, though, and you can write all capitals as well. September 5, like that, is good also. All right, orientation hours, 9 to midday. Something and children should attend orientation. So this one here is Daniel Tesfalim says that's parents for number 10, and you're right. Okay? Parents. And you have to have the S, okay? It's children. Children is a plural. It's an irregular plural. And parents is a regular plural, and you need the S. So it has to be parents. Okay, parents. Parents and children should attend orientation. All right, students, great job. Let's keep going. Section 2 coming up right away. Get your pencils, your paper ready. Please do not write into the chat. Again, we will go over the answers together, nice and smooth, after we're done with the listening. So get your pencils, paper ready. And here we go with listening section 2. Please do not write into the chat. Give everybody a fair chance.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you're here for the university campus tour, you're in the correct place. There are two purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of 3 periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Before we go any further, are there any questions? No? Right then. Next we are going to visit the university library. As you see in front of the library, there is a beautiful fountain which shoots water high up in the air. Once again, the funding for the fountain came from a former student, in this case a well-known artist. It was constructed just 15 years ago at the cost of £50,000. As we step into the library, I think what you'll notice at first is the fact there are no books. Indeed, there are no books at all on the entire ground floor. On the 5 upper floors, however, there are over 3 million books. The library's collection has been built over time through private donations, gifts from former students, as well as university purchases. There is also a special collections area, where there are original works dating back to the year 1588. Next on our itinerary is a visit to the sporting facilities. Here at the university we have over a dozen different facilities for almost any sport you can imagine, ranging from football and rugby to tennis and squash to archery and cricket. Our rugby team has won the national championship 3 out of the last 5 years. As you'll see on your left is a famous wall where we put pictures of...
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Alrighty, again, use that half minute to check your answers. Pay close attention. This listening is coming from this IELTShelp.com website of ours, so do check us out there. Let's go through these answers together now for section 3. So it's a university campus tour. A student is giving a guided tour of the university. Let's rock and roll, students. Let's get through these answers and then get to the next section. So when did the university open? That question came quickly, and notice how section 2 moves faster than section 1. You don't get as many second chances, so you have to pay more attention. Abhishek and Sanze agree that this university opened in 1686. Yes, it's an old university, 1686. So they say 1686. It's a common way in English to give a date whereby you give the actual 2-digit phrase. So 1686. Okay, it was shut down during these years here, and then between 1805 and 1815, how many buildings were added? It is not 23, Shanze. You had to be a little bit more patient. There are 23 buildings altogether. They were constructed in 3 time periods, and during these 10 years, in 1805 to 1815, Daniel Tesfalim says 12. That's right. The speaker says a dozen. Okay, so 12 buildings is good, or you could have the word dozen. Okay, a dozen buildings were added between 1805 and 1815, so 12 were added. All right, in the past, how many years 7 more buildings were constructed? What's the answer for number 13? I saw somebody give the answer there. It was good. Okay, Rahul says 10. Abhishek agrees. That was 10. Yeah. The student says in the past decade, in the past 10 years, 7 more buildings were constructed. So you can see architecture from the 17th century, 19th century, and some modern buildings. All that information is shared by the student. Okay, good. Okay, so again, a little bit more difficult, definitely faster, more complex speech. Okay, we're testing for level 4, 5, 6 band students now. The Prescott Building has which layout? So the student describes the first building of this university, and this is a diagram matching. So what does this building look like? A, B, or C? Abhishek says it's going to be B. Shraddha Vikare says B. Sarbjeet Kaur agrees. And or Shanze, well, no. Danielle, good. Yeah, B. Yeah, the student says 40 meters long and 8 meters wide. And then he says there are these circular shapes in the corners that house bells, which don't work anymore, but they used to. So there's 4 bells in the corner. So 40 meters by 8 meters, there's no way that these and these would be anywhere near 40 by 8. So as long as you catch this piece of information, you should know it's B. If you catch this piece of information, you are definitely sure that it's B. Okay? All right. Somebody donated, gave some Persian carpets to the university. How many years ago? That was a long time ago. How many years ago? Abhishek, you are correct. Yeah, it's a word and or a number, and here it's 150, not 15. Careful, Shanze. It was 150 years ago, okay? It's no more than 2 words, so careful if you do this. You'll get that wrong. That's 3 words, even though it's a correct answer, okay? So 150. You don't need years because it's in the question. Okay, let's keep going. Another student donated their pub. And the pub gives a discount to university students. What discount do students get? A, 30%, B, 40%, or C, 3%? 3% doesn't make sense. I mean, nobody's going to bother with a 3% discount. Rahul, we're still going on to question 17 here. So 30%, A. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so A is the correct answer. 30% discount for students. Okay, then you had a little break to review the last 4 questions. It's a summary completion type of question. You see this in the reading as well. These can be a little bit tough. Make sure to practice them. 2 words and or number. Section 2, very good chance you'll have some 2-word answers. In front of the library, there is a beautiful what? Fountain. That's right. It's mid-sentence. It's a common noun, so you don't need capitals. It's just fountain. Okay? Water fountain. So that's what throws water into the air. Okay? Water fountain. All right? The ground floor of the library. So this whole summary here is about the library mostly. Inside the library, the ground floor has how many books? A little bit of an interesting answer. Abhishek says, no books. There are no books on the ground floor. Absolutely, yeah, there's 0 books. There are no books on the ground floor. The upper floors, however, house, this, however, gives you a guarantee of that answer, house over 3 million books. The collection was built by donations, gifts, and university purchases. Additionally, there is a what? Number 19, a little bit more difficult than the other questions so far. What kind of an area is housed in the library? Yeah, this was a tricky one. So even if you got special collection, it's not the right answer. It's special. This is a testing for a band 9 student, so don't worry, girls and guys. It's a band 9 level student. Additionally, there's a special collections. Okay, there's an S on that. In English, we call that a special collections. Collection is usually non-count, but in this rare case, you can count the collections. So special collections area with works dating back to 1588. There are many sporting facilities. So here a little bit about the sports in the university, including the rugby field, which is home to the rugby team, which has won 3 of the past 5 what? What has the rugby team won? 3 of the past 5? 2 words. I'll give you a hint. The correct answer has to be 2 words here. It's not years. Okay. Which has won 3 of the past 5 what? You can't win the year. You have to win some kind of a tournament. So what do you win? You win national championships. Okay, that was the correct answer there, national championships. So they have won 3 of the past 5 national championships. You can't win a year. It's strange to say that. Okay, but you can win a or a national championship. So those are the correct answers there. All right, students, doing good so far. Don't lose hope. It's all right if you don't get all of them correct. Your goal for section 1 is to get 9 or 10 correct. Your goal for section 2 is to get 7 or at least 6 correct, okay? If you're going for a band 6, 5, 7. All right. Here we go, students. Let's get into section 3. So I'm going to push for one more section, okay? One more section, all right? Let's do one more listening together. I'm really wanting to get just the maximum practice in there for this class today, okay? So let's do a section 3. Again, ladies and gents, please do not write your answers into the chat. Give everybody a fair chance, okay? Prashil, the schedule for the live session is always at the beginning of these videos. So if you check the beginning of the videos on the channel, you will see the schedule. Okay, that's for a couple other students that were wondering about that as well. Okay, students, get your pencils, papers ready for section 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening section 3. You will hear a public forum discussion between the moderator and 2 contributors, Dr. Philip McPhee and Dr. Ron Tatum, both political scientists at the local university, talking about the nature of taxes in society. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. McPhee and Dr. Tatham for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this evening with us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. McPhee, could you give us a little bit of the history of taxation?
Certainly. Taxes have been around almost as long as civilization itself. There are records of taxes being collected by Egyptian pharaohs approximately 5,000 years ago. It was customary to give 20% of your production to the pharaoh, and those who evaded taxes were severely punished.
Dr. Tatham, what are the reasons for taxes?
Well, there are essentially three major reasons for taxes. The first and most obvious reason is revenue. Governments need money, and taxes fulfil this need. The government then spends this tax revenue on investments that are good for society, such as healthcare, schools and roads. Funding the army would fall under this category as well. The second reason for taxation is for the redistribution of wealth. In simpler terms, this means taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. Many societies do this out of a belief that it is the responsibility of the government to look after the poor people in society. I'll let Dr. McPhee talk about the final reason for taxation, called repricing.
Thank you, Dr. Tatham. Yes, the third main reason for taxation is called repricing, and by this we mean changing the price of a product to a different, generally higher price. This may sound quite strange, but if you bear with me, you'll see that it makes perfect sense. In general, products are allowed to be priced in a free market. That is to say, whoever can provide goods for the lowest price is the most successful. However, there are certain types of goods that we don't allow to go to the free market. In many countries, these are goods like tobacco and alcohol. These goods are subject to a repricing tax, which is used to discourage people from using the product. Also, these repricing taxes help offset the future medical costs associated with the people who use tobacco and alcohol excessively.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Very well. Do you favour higher or lower taxes?
I am a strong proponent of higher taxes. The reason for this is simply that it is easier to make money when you already have money. This gives a massive advantage to those people who may have inherited money or come from rich families, because money is so much easier to gain for these people if used wisely. Taxing them seems only fair and for the greater good. This compensates the poorer sections of society who really have little or no hope to gain financial success.
I understand Dr. Tatham's position, but one has to be wary of the fact that if taxes are too high for businesses, then those businesses will leave the country in favour of countries with lower taxes. Of course, it would be nice if we could legislate a worldwide tax structure, but this is simply not attainable. And I'm sure by the time it becomes attainable, companies will likely have opportunities to leave for another planet with more favourable tax structure.
Yes, you're right, Dr. McPhee. We must always be mindful of staying competitive. It is like a tightrope we must walk between compensating those less fortunate and being able to stay competitive in the market. Because if we fail to be competitive, then tax revenue will dry up, resulting in no money at all for the lower economic classes. So this is an extremely difficult balancing act.
Which leads to my next question. What is the future of taxation?
I believe you will see higher taxes in 50 years than there are today, just as we have higher taxes today than 50 years ago. We will need even more money for projects like high-speed transit, new roads, new technologies. Also, with an ageing population, medical costs could soar in the near future, resulting in higher taxes to support this healthcare system.
I think the future will be a lot like the present, walking the tightrope as Dr. Tatham mentioned. Where that takes us, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say higher taxes for the reasons Dr. Tatham outlined. However, another important variable to consider is whether free markets can really be allowed.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and then you want to check your answers. And what we're going to do is go right into section 4. All right, let's do a full listening section. So really push it, okay? Here we go.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening section 4. You will hear a lecture about English scientist Isaac Newton. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we are going to discuss the life and achievements of the famous English scientist Sir Isaac Newton. Many consider Newton to be the most brilliant man to have ever lived, and many consider his achievements the greatest ever achieved by one man. Newton himself was not so sure, as he famously told his followers, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." While it may be true that he built upon the foundation of scientists before him, he still managed to see further than anyone else had, and to this day his accomplishments stand the test of time. Isaac Newton was born in England in 1643. He studied at the King's School in Grantham from age 12 to 17. After leaving school, his mother tried to make him into a farmer, but that was not going to be sufficient for young Isaac. A year later, in 1661, on the recommendation of one of his teachers at the King's School in Grantham, Newton was admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge, where he eventually became a teacher 6 years later. Newton is perhaps most famous for his work on gravity. A well-known story says that Newton realized the nature of gravity while he was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head. This story may or may not be true, but the underlying principle is valuable. Newton made the astonishing discovery that the same force that makes an apple fall to the earth also makes the earth revolve around the sun and the moon revolve around the earth. Until this time, scientists such as René Descartes and Gottfried Leibniz had believed that the planets moved in some sort of matter, something they called an ether. Newton demonstrated that no such ether was required. Descartes and Leibniz also had little explanation for why apples fall to the earth. Newton's theory accounted for this almost perfectly. During the 20th century, Newton's theory came under attack by the German physicist Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was said to replace Newton's theory of gravitation. This is simply not true. Einstein's theory is a landmark achievement in science, but it did not replace Newton's theory, it merely improved it. To picture this, think of a smooth ball, perhaps a billiard ball. In this experiment of the mind, Newton tells us that the ball is smooth. However, Einstein says that the ball has small imperfections, dents, cuts, and scrapes. Who is right? The answer is both of them. Newton is correct on a macroscopic scale. When we look at the ball from a distance, the ball is smooth. However, Einstein is correct as well. The ball does have imperfections. He is correct on a macroscopic and a microscopic scale. Another of Newton's important achievements is the reflecting telescope. Previously, Galileo had used lenses to construct his telescope, but Newton was the first to use mirrors in a telescope. Today's telescopes are almost all made of mirrors as opposed to lenses, which again speaks to Newton's brilliance. There are a number of reasons the mirror is an improvement over the lens in telescopes. First, mirrors do not warp as easily as lenses do, and by that I mean that lenses can lose their shape in hot or cold weather quite easily. Second, telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their shorter focal distance. Third, telescopes with mirrors can be built far larger because the mirrors themselves can be built larger. An achievement of Newton's that must not be overlooked is Newton's discovery of calculus. although the discovery was not without controversy. Gottfried Leibniz also claims to have invented calculus at approximately the same time. Nobody really knows the truth, but it is accepted that they discovered it separately. In any case, it was a brilliant achievement by both scientists. Newton died in March 1727, and his body was laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London, in a famous above-ground tomb. He was 84.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, and then you have another 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And there are lots of strategies for how to use that time wisely. So make sure to learn that. You can learn that from our website. For now, I want to give you the answers for section 3 and 4. So just bear with me. My goal here, students, is to give you a band score for today's class. And we'll do that together, okay? So let's do that now. I'm going to just give you the answers for these sections. So please check them. And only give yourself a mark if it's absolutely correct. Okay, don't cheat. Don't be too generous with your marking, because the IELTS people are not. So here we go. Answers for 21 all the way to 40. So here we go. Okay. 21 is 2,000. All right, these are correct, so just stay with this. You can use all capitals, okay? So 21 is 2,000, 22 is revenue, 23 is redistribution. Spelling has to be correct. Okay. 24 is E, 25 is B, 26 is D, 27, B, D, and F. So that's 27, 28, 29. And the order doesn't matter, okay? So any order there, you just needed to have those 3 letters. If you got 2, then that's 2 marks. If you got 1, that's 1 mark. If you got all 3, then that's all 3 marks, okay? And 30 was C, okay? So here we go. 31 was 12 and 17. 32, farmer. So for 31, you needed both of those numbers, obviously. 32 was farmer. 33, teacher. Okay. I'll take note of that some of the answers were not clear. Don't worry about those ones, okay? Just give yourself the mark for those ones, okay? If you didn't see the flow chart, or if you had some technical error, just give yourself that mark. Count it as a bonus, okay? So 34C, 35D, 36B, 37A. Okay? 38 was warp, or warp easily, 2 words. 39, focal length. 40 was B. Okay? Count up your marks, students. Add your marks together, and let's find out what your band score is. If you didn't see a question clearly because of the video or for some other reason, just give yourself that mark as a bonus mark, okay? Count that as a, let's say you got lucky and guessed it, okay? Otherwise, let's check out your marks. So when you go to the website, and you can check this for free, at the very bottom, okay, on every page, you will see this score calculator, okay? Make it a little bit darker because it's a brighter background. So you see the score calculator, that's a link, of course. Click on that. And when you click on that, it will bring up your band score calculator. The reading is different for general and academic, so make sure you're on the correct page. All right. Rahul says 23 out of 30. I can't calculate that, Rahul, but let's say that you got one of the sections perfect. So Rahul, let's say you got 33 out of 40, because it has to be from 40. 33 would be 7.5, okay? Shanze, 20% is not correct. It's just 2,000 for number 21. Okay, Pachu, if you got 30 out of 40, I think you missed section 1, then you would get 7. Okay. Sarbjeet, 28 out of 40 would be 6.5. Notice how that value keeps changing when I put something else in there. Okay. So Gabriel Biju says 34. Yes, I got you, Gabriel. Don't worry. 34 is 7.5. Okay. 35, Tuvu. 35 is an 8. So that's the cutoff. Okay. So Gabriel, had you got one more correct, you would have gotten 8 also. So good job, Tuvu. You just squeaked into a band 8. Okay. Daniel says 31. 31 is a band 7. 31 is great. I mean, Danielle, 31 is fantastic. Okay. It means you're a very good, or it means you're a good user of English. Sorry. Band 8 is a very good user of English. Band 7 is a good user of English. A lot of native speakers would probably score 7.5 on the listening without practice. So band 7 is not bad at all. Okay. 30 is also band 7. 5 from 20, Amiya, is very difficult to calculate, but let's double it up. Let's say you got 10 from 40. 10 from 40 would be 3.5, okay, if you get 10 correct. All right, students, great focus today. That was quite an intense class, full listening in 1 hour with tips and strategies. Remember the tips from the beginning. Always use the time to check your answers for checking answers, not for looking at the next section. Use the introduction time to get an idea of topic 3, section 3, and section 4. All right, students, that's it for me for today. Let me brighten that up so you can see my face as I bid you adieu. I will be teaching an academic reading class on our Academic English Help YouTube channel. So the name of the channel is Academic English Help. And we are doing academic IELTS reading on that channel. That's for academic IELTS. So thank you, students, for being with me this class. And give yourself a pat on the back. You've done a good job hanging in there. You should do this kind of listening practice daily when you're getting ready for IELTS. 32, Pradvi, would be band 7. Tomorrow, we have one more class this week. That will be for speaking, part 1 and 2. Okay, so speaking 1 and 2 tomorrow, same time, 13:30 Central European time. Bye for now, everyone. Hopefully I'll see many of you in the next class on the Academic English Help channel. And if not, hopefully tomorrow. Have an awesome rest of your day. And for those of you who have other plans, have a great weekend. Bye for now.